Hey, this is an instructional video for the song Just a Guy by John Kaiwa? Okay, so where do I start? Okay, so you've got your kappa on fret 4. What I'll do, when I tell you the fret numbers for each chord, I'll just act as if the capo equals like open strings. So if capo is open, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So the first chord is as follows. What I'll do is I'll give you some text with this as well, so that you've got the numbers written out and everything, so you don't have to keep going back to this video for reference. So the first chord is as follows. It's because the picking bit at the beginning, it's the same chords that are strung, but so you're keeping the shapes, you're just moving the shapes around. Now the first chord is so we'll go to fret on the low E string, so it's fret 3 with your middle finger, so, and then next one is fret 2 with your index finger, and then the next two strings are open, and then with your remaining two fingers it's fret 3 on the last two strings. Now these two fingers on the highest strings, they actually don't move. They stay in place through all four chords in the progression, which makes it nice and easy because it means they stay firmly planted there, and you can just move the other two fingers around. So it's 3 2 open open 3 3, and you know that these two fingers are going to stay the same through each chord. So that's the first chord, and the second chord is with your index finger. Just move that to fret 2, so it's, and then so fret 2, open, open, and then fret 2 again, and then as I say, these two strings stay the same. So it's and then the next one is, which is, again, you can see that it stays, if you can really get a good view of this, but it stays more or less the same. So you go here, so and that third chord is open, and then with your index finger, fret 2, middle finger, fret 2 again, and then open, and then, so it's, sorry, no, that's not right. And the last chord is, that last chord is very similar to the first chord, except that, so it's the same shape, but you're just moving, so that you don't play the thickest string, the low E string, and you start on this string, so it's just fret 3 here, and then fret 2 with your index, and then open. So you can see how, and then when you go back to the first chord, you can see how you're just moving the same shape like that, and of course, like I say, these two stay the same there. So it's 1, 2, and like I say, that's the same as that, it's just moved up a string. So that's the four basic shapes. What I suggest doing is, if you're having trouble switching between any of them, just play through it, and where you find things difficult. So say for example you find it difficult going from between the first two chords, just really focus on what your fingers are doing. So you can see that, like, these two stay the same, but it's just these two fingers that are moving. So just focus on where the change happens. Like that. And eventually, you know, you speed up and get to the right tempo, and then you just fly through it. Eventually, you just want to practice it as much as possible, and eventually you build up the muscle memory, and your fingers will just fall into place. You won't even think about it, and then that way you can put a lot more thought into your singing and projecting your voice and the tone and so on and so forth. Because with this kind of song, obviously the guitar, it's a nice guitar part, but it mainly just to accompany the singing, because the vocals seem to be the main part of the song. So the picking at the beginning is what I'd suggest doing before you start thinking about doing the picking, is just make sure you get those shapes down, those chords down, so that you can just switch between them without even really thinking about it. And after that, the picking is quite simple. So with your thumb, you're going to pick the low E, this thicker string, and then I'll play it and then you can see. So let me move the camera down here. Try and play in a way where you can see it a bit clearer. Well, I'll just show you which string. So you can see that you're picking more or less the same thing on each chord. It's just that it's just more or less this root note, the bass note, that's changing. So it's just, I'll show you again. And it's so you pick the lowest string, and then the top three strings. So it's with these three fingers. So, and then that one. And that one. And so on. And the strumming is just with strumming, I don't know how comfortable you are with strumming patterns. Sometimes it can take, if you put a bit too much thought into it, it's too mechanical and your wrist tenses up and everything. Now with this, it's imagine the shape of your hand. Imagine you're holding like an invisible pick. That's the best way to think about it, and then just. What you can do to get the rhythm is just mute the strings with your hand like that, and just. There's another part to this song, but this video has gone on a lot longer than I expected, so I'm gonna make a second one. So watch this space.